¿Por qué la estás grabando desde ahorita?
Ay, qué exigente eres tú. The recording, and I am going to connect to Facebook Live. Let me just find. Right. Okay, we get to see your screen, Andrea, and I am going live right now. You'll get to see it. Okay, so give me 27 seconds. Okay, so we are live now. Let me just see. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining to our, this is the fourth talk actually. Yeah, from week day 2. I have the pleasure to introduce, or well, the speaker that we have today. She is, let me admit the last. Yeah. Okay, so she's gonna talk about well, the name of the talk is Water Running Out. Should I make money out of it? And if you read the summary of the talk, you might be familiarized what this will be about. She is let me read her CV. She has a bachelor's degree in financial management. She graduated in 2018 from ITESM, well, Tecnológico de Monterrey, Campus Querétaro. She participated in an activity regarding the IMEF Universitario from Fondo Bancomer, which is an asset management. And there's something about Bloomberg market concepts that I certainly do not understand much, but she will explain everything that we need to know. Wait, give me 2018 market. Great, now it's better. Okay, so so let's begin with the talk. Thank you, Andrea, for joining us today, to accepting being part of this STEM week. I'm pretty sure we will learn a lot from you today, and I leave you the microphone. If there is anything that you need, just let us know, okay? All
Okay.
questions, how will this be? Like in the chat, do you want them at the end or?
I think for the first 3 slides, maybe whenever there's a question, because there's some technical stuff over there, and then from then on, maybe just at the end, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine.
Okay, great. Then I'll start. Before I start saying what's the relationship between water and money, and we know it's running out, but Before I start this, I would like to ask you a few questions. So if you want to open your microphone and just participate, it'll be great, okay? The first one is, what would happen if we ran out of water? Someone want to answer that question? Okay, Evelyn, just,
We die.
okay, we die, great.
Yeah, we don't survive.
We don't survive. Okay, and this is actually something that's happening right now, right? We are actually running out of water. The next one is, what would you do if we are running out of water? Someone said war. Exactly, Mad Max scenario. So would you do something if you know that we are running out of water, or your conduct will stay the same? Gather water supplies. Anyone else? Use less water. Okay, I'm gonna stress out and also gather supplies. Okay, I'm gonna leave it at that. And then the next one, what if I told you that there's a way to buy water for the future? Is it something that you knew? Would you do something different, or would you stay the same? No clue. Okay. I'm glad that you have no clue, because this is the purpose of the talk. We will get rich. Okay. Now, in early December 2020, some of the major media outlets started reporting that California water started trading at Wall Street. I don't know if any of you saw this news, but this one's from Bloomberg. Bloomberg is one of the most important media outlets, at least for finance. They have a huge team working around the clock, so people has the latest information and they can make decisions. Here it was interesting to me to see that they actually added this part that says there's fear of scarcity. So that they decided to report it that way, for me was interesting, because they were sounding here the alarm that something was going on. I have another one here from Yale that they just reported it that way. Wall Street begins trading water futures as a commodity. Yahoo Finance also decided to report it as fear of shortages. And then Market Insider, they reported it as water futures set to join gold and oil on Wall Street for the first time ever. So I don't know if you knew about it, about California water trading in Wall Street or not, but this is what's going on right now. It started early December 2020, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And why am I talking to you today? I received a text from Barbara in December with this headline and just asking a few questions, like what was going on, what was happening, and what does it mean that water is trading right now?
Am I gonna die? Can I store water under my mattress? What should I do? I don't want to die. Please, Andrea, help me, explain me. So she's my guru with all of these financial news and everything. She's the person that you will always contact and ask what to do in the best case scenario. So after she explained me, I understand everything, and I said, oh, I think that's something I would like to share with my students. So I thought it was a good idea, and this is why we have her today with us. Thank you very much for joining, Andrea.
Exactly. And now here's the agenda. It's just a quick summary of what we're going to talk about. First, California's water market, because as you saw, it's only water in California, the one that's trading. And I want you to know how the market works right now and how it worked before this news happened. And then futures, which is the financial instrument in which water is trading. Then trading water, what's going on, the problem, other products traded, and then financial innovation, okay? In the next slide, and the next one is where I would like you to make questions if it's not perfectly clear, because it is really important, okay? So California, the water market revolves around water rights. I have water, then what I'll do is that I'll just go to my neighbor who has maybe another water right for another water source and ask him to lend me some water. I will probably pay some fees, but that's basically how it works. Buyers and sellers, they trade water through short and long-term leases and permanent sale of these water rights. Okay, so you can trade it for a long-term, short-term, or basically buy it permanently. And just a short an example, there's short-term transfers. What this happens is that they lessen the economic impact of shortages during droughts by shifting water activities where a lack of water will have a greater impact. And this has to do with the law of supply and demand. I will explain it quickly for you. When there's a lot of something and few people want to buy it, then what happens is that price goes down. And when there's little of something and a lot of people want to buy it, price goes up. Okay, this is how it works. Now, just a quick takeaway for you, almost 1.5 million acre feet of water are traded annually. So it's a lot of water. And here I have just a quick chart for you to see where you can see that water has been traded since 1987, and it has been, the amount of water traded has been increasing throughout the years. And just who trades water, cities and farms. Cities is this one, and farms is this one plus this one, okay? So a lot of farms trade water. I don't know if there's any question here, or should I continue?
It's all clear. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Max.
I'll pop quiz you at the end. So
all clear. Okay, great. Now, this one's important. Here it's the theory of finance. A future is a financial instrument and it trades in a financial market. When I say that it trades in a financial market, I mean that there is oversight and there is regulations around it. And it allows users to sell and buy something that derives its value from an underlying asset. So what I mean here is that I have a piece of paper that will allow me to buy this mouse that you can see because of my background, but that will allow me to buy a mouse or any asset at a set amount of time. So it's a legally binding agreement. This one's important. You cannot go out of this contract, and it gives you the right to buy or sell a standardized asset on a specific date. And the contract specifies quality, quantity, physical delivery, time, and location of the product. What this means is that the price is set today and it is paid on delivery in the future in case that delivery is required. And the goal of a future is to hedge risks. So it gives the market certainty because people will know how much they will pay for an asset in the future. I don't know if the concept of a future is clear, but water is trading as a future. So if we need you to understand this, okay? All clear, okay. Great. Now I'm gonna continue with trading water. Just to give you a little background, in 2018, there was created the Nasdaq Veles California Water Index, or NQH2O. This one is, that's a ticker name. So if you want to check it on the internet, you can check it like that or with the whole name. And it was created as an established benchmark. This means that you can compare it with something else to provide transparency, oversight, and price discovery. When I talk about price discovery, it's the act of determining a common price for an asset. So everyone knows what it means. And it measures the volume weighted average price of water, okay? This index tracks the price of water across the 5 largest and most actively traded regions in the state of California. And this includes the Central Basin, Chino Basin, Main San Gabriel Basin, and the Mojave Basin, okay? And why these regions? Because from 2012 to 2019, these markets actually accounted for nearly 2.6 billion US dollars. Anytime I refer to billions, is US billions, okay? In transactional activity. So what this means is that in this period of time, $2.6 billion worth of water were traded. Just for you to know, it is published every Wednesday morning at approximately 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, so 8:30 a.m. Mexico's time, and it represents all the transactions that were made from Monday through Friday of the prior week. So if we want to check the index right now, we will see prices from 2 weeks ago. Tomorrow we can see the prices of last week, okay? This index was launched on October 31, 2018, and its value was $371.11 per acre feet. Now, what happened? In 2020, they decided that a benchmark was not enough, that they actually wanted people to be able to buy water. So in 2020, December 6th of 2020, water futures started trading to help market participants manage financial exposure that's associated with fluctuating prices in the most dynamic and chaotic market in the US. And I say it's chaotic because of three things, mainly. The first one, it's the largest consumer state. It accounts of 9% of the water consumed daily in the US. The next one, it has a crazy climate and natural disasters are frequent, like droughts and wildfires. So this has an effect on supply and demand that I already mentioned. And the third one is that it's a huge market. So it accounts for $1.1 billion annually. So when you have these three combined, you have a place that consumes a lot of water, you have natural disasters that affect prices because of supply and demand, and you have a big market, you have a great opportunity to make something, okay? Now, this is how you can find the Nasdaq Veles California Water Index. It's just a screenshot from Nasdaq, but you can also find it at CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And as you can see, during 2019 and 2020, we saw some activity. It went up. And right now it's about $500, okay? Now, the contract. The contract is the first regulated of its kind. It's exchange traded. When I say exchange traded, it's that it is traded at a financial market, and it's a risk management tool to manage water supplies. The size of the contract is small. It's 10 acre it's 10 acre feet, so it allows easy access to manage water exposure, and it trades on screen 5 days a week. So you can find it trading 5 days a week. It is also valued in US dollars per acre foot, and the futures are financially settled. This one's important because it means that there's no physical delivery required. They will not give you water once the future expires. And this one's also important because some experts say that when these contracts are financially settled, there is actually room for speculation to come right now. So you can be playing with the prices, and then you will have more money circulating over the markets, okay? This one's a screenshot of the contract. You can find it like this. Yesterday at night, it was trading at $532, and there were 2 trades made, okay? And this was the change. Now, I will give you an example because I know it can be a little bit confusing of what's going on. But basically, we have a forecast of a dry season announced, okay? A farmer is concerned with rising water prices. And in December of 2020, he knows that he will need 100 acre feet of water in June. Right now, there's no contract. There's nothing that he can do, just buy water in June. But today he can buy a water future. So he goes to Chicago Mercantile Exchange and he buys a contract for June 2021 at $500 US per acre feet. Something important, he will not pay the whole amount of the contract. He will pay a margin, which is a small percentage of the total value in the contract. And once it's settled, then he will pay the whole thing. So this gives the farmer the right to buy something. In June, the price of water is $560 per acre feet. So now he will have to pay more for his water. But good news, the contract is also selling at $560. So there's a $60 differential between when he bought it and when he sells it. So by doing this, what happens is that the farmer successfully protected himself from rising prices, okay? Because he offset this price fluctuation by acquiring a contract. I don't know if this is clear or you have any questions.
So it's just like fixing the price for a time so that he can sell it at a higher price later if it fluctuates?
What happens is that he knows that his water will be worth $500, and because they are not actually and physically delivering water, what will happen is if that he paid 500, when the time expires, it's worth 560. So he will have a differential of $60 that he can, in which he can buy water. So it will be a 0% loss between the transactions. I don't know if it was clear enough.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Now, what's the problem?
Evelyn has a question. She raised her hand.
Okay.
Yeah, so my question is, what happens if the farmer needs the water? Like, are they just going to not give to him?
Okay, here we have two types of features. One of them, the physical delivery is required. So if you buy, I don't know, oil, for example, you buy 1 gallon of oil, for example, at the end of the contract, they will give you the actual oil, okay? In the case of this one, they are not actually delivering water. So what you are saying is that you are buying like an insurance, you can see it like that, where you know that even if your water goes up, the price of your water goes up, you will have that money to cover it. So if he needs the water, he will have the money to buy that water at the price of the market.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Anyone has more questions? Okay. Great. Now, what's the problem with trading water? The first one is that the UN declared access to water as a human right. So the fact that there's now value for water, it's putting it in under threat. And this has to do with speculation and that there is a risk that high players that has to do with large agricultural industries, industrial players, or large-scale utilities can buy, and they can move the prices and impact vulnerable sectors of the economy like small-scale farmers. And obviously it can impact us also, because maybe we will not have the money to buy these contracts. And the other two, they have to do with climate change and scarcity. The first one, just for you to know, there's a study found that by 2071, almost half of the freshwater basins in the US may fall short of meeting the monthly water demand. And also our freshwater resources per person has declined more than 20% in the last 2 decades. So we are running out of water, and scarcity is happening right now. Just for you to know, in major urban areas, more than 500,000 people lack access to running water, and this is happening right now in the US. For me, I think that they lessen the impact of scarcity by saying that the future is financially settled, so they are not giving actual water to the traders, they are just giving them money. But still, we will have to see what happens with this one, because it's fairly new, and we don't know if the financial community and the community as a whole will find this as an interesting product. And I have a quote by a capital markets managing director, and he says that climate change, droughts, population growth, and pollution are likely to make water scarcity issues and pricing a hot topic for years to come, because we're definitely going to watch how this new water futures contract develops. Basically meaning we don't know if this will solve more problems than it will create, so we'll have to keep an eye on it and just see how it develops, okay? Now, could this happen in Mexico? Just quick context, we have a derivatives market here in Mexico. It's called Mexter, and it's part of our exchange market, which is called Bolsa Mexicana de Valores, but it is relatively small and relatively new. It started in December 1998. The first derivatives market in the US actually started in 1848. So we don't have a derivatives culture here in Mexico. We can trade 64 total contracts that account for corn, foreign exchange, which is currency, and some stocks like Bimbo, Alfa, America Móvil, and FEMSA. And at CME, we can trade almost 2,085 total contracts. CME is a Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Also important for you to know, in Mexico, water is not a private service, so we don't have an index comparing prices. And for this to happen, a couple of conditions should be accomplished first. The first one, we need water to be a private service, or at least private suppliers. Then we need an index as an established benchmark, and at the end, create a contract at our derivatives market, which is Mexer. What some experts think that there's a possibility to establish futures in electricity, since the prices are fixed by CENACE, which is Centro Nacional de Control de Energía here in Mexico. But we will have to keep track on the energy reforms and what this administration does, because if they change what's going on right now, that private suppliers are giving electricity to CENACE and then CENACE fixing the prices, this will not be possible, okay? Now, other products available at CME. These are just some categories that we have, and I will mention a few. In agriculture, you can buy futures for corn, dairy, soybeans. In energy, you can buy natural gas, Brent or WTI futures. Brent and WTI is oil. Foreign exchange, you can buy British pound, Japanese yen, euro, Mexican peso, basically every coin in the world. Metals, you can buy gold, silver, copper, platinum. And in equity, you can buy S&P 500 and NASDAQ. Those two are indices, so they reflect the sentiment of the market and more. As I mentioned before, you have almost 2,085 contracts available. And then some weird products that I found that are actually traded at CME. You can buy used cooking oil futures. This has to do with sustainability. You can buy non-fat dry milk futures, live cattle futures. So you can buy cows, for example. Heating and cooling degree day futures. This has to do with climate. And how it works is that because weather has an impact on businesses, you can actually buy heating degree day. This has to do with the average number of days that the temperature falls below 65 degrees Fahrenheit, or you can buy cooling degree days. And it's 65 degrees Fahrenheit because that's when people turn on air conditioner or anything else, okay? We have CBL, global emission offset futures. This is a sustainability future also, and it basically provides physical carbon offset credits that have undergone screening. So you can buy those also, and you can buy Linghag futures, which is PIGS. And just a quick story that they told me when I was at school. They said that people actually had their products outside the CME, so investor could see them. So there would be a farmer with his corn just showing people his or her corn, so they could see the quality of the product that they were buying. Yes, Evelyn. What happens with the heating and cooling degree day futures? You are hedging for climate, because they have climate, as you know, it has an effect on businesses, especially farms. So what happens is that you can buy you can hedge on the amount of days that temperature will be below 65 degrees Fahrenheit or above 65 degrees Fahrenheit. So with this, you can protect, you will get money for if something happens, okay? I don't know if I was clear enough with this one, or do you want me to repeat it? I can also send you a link where there's more information about this one. Okay, yeah, I'll send it to you or through Barbara. And now, just to finish, financial innovation. Everything that we saw right now was it was a feature of financial innovation. This one is a process of creating new financial products, services, or processes. And some changes can include technology, risk management. Risk management is derivative. So what we saw right now is just hedging and doing something with that risk transfer, insurance, credit, and equity generation. Now, some of the trends that they are seeing right now in financial innovation, one of them is to focus on digital transformation, sorry. This has to do with digitalization and just adopt new technologies to be quicker and to have operational efficiencies. This one, it has to do with the customer experience and not having to go to the bank for everything, which is something that I'm sure you hate. Now, fintech companies, the emergence of financial technology companies, I don't know if you've heard about this, but there's actually in Mexico, they're trying to regulate them because there was no regulation. And these fintech companies can provide marketing, administration, or loan servicing. And for banks, they are just access to new clients like millennials or centennials. And this one has to do with open banking. Open banking means that you don't have to go to a bank to obtain a credit or a debit card. I think Rappi has a credit card, and Nubank is another one that's famous. Crowdfunding, which has to do with peer-to-peer lending. So if I have an innovation or something that I want to develop, I can go to crowdfunding platforms like Fondeadora here in Mexico, and I can get money directly through people and not without going to a bank. And digital wallets like Apple Pay or Samsung Pay. And the last one has to do with also the last one of the trends that I found, which is rethink the concept of money. This one, it has to do with questioning the need for physical cash itself. So do we really need cash, or can we go to digital wallets or blockchain and cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, which again, these are growing fast. Bitcoin, I think it was in 50,000 or something like that dollars. So it's just crazy how these trends and this innovation, it's making us think if money is necessary or if we can do something about our risks. And just to end, I would like to ask you if any of these questions, if you have a different answer now that I presented this information to you, and I would love to hear you.
There was a raised hand, Danny.
Yes, thank you. There was a really interesting presentation. I got some questions and doubts regarding to the third question if there is on their screen. Um, I'm like really worried about this question because if we begin to trade water, what will happen? Because as you mentioned in the presentation, there is water is a right, and if we start to trade it, then it will be like no more. There will be no right for the water, so it will be more like an asset and a privilege for the ones that could afford it, and it will be more like water will be a means trade
So,
with for the, with like by the people who has the money, you know. So what is your like your point of view and your opinion in this scenario? Thank you.
thank you, Daniel. I think that what they're trying to do here to offset this part of water being a basic human right and just stop people from like hoarding water and having it for themselves is making it financially settled. So what they are saying is, I will just give you the price differential for your water, and then you can go and buy it wherever you want. And I will relate this one with Evelyn's question that she says, is it really ethical to trade water? The answer is, I don't know. For me, it's not ethical, but then I'm not running the finance world. And when I was doing my research for this talk with you, I found that there's 2 points of view. First, the one from people that has to do with sustainability and human rights, and they say that this should not happen because it's a human right. And then on the other hand, people that actually made this contract, they were saying that this is to help people to lessen the economic impact of water and to ensure that people will have enough water to make their activities. So I don't know, this one's fairly new, and what I will recommend is just to keep track on what's going on with water in Wall Street, because I don't know how people will react. There was an outcry actually for this to just be done, and then no more trading water at Wall Street. But money is money, and that's what moves the world right now. I don't know if it's ethical or not, but that's a reality.
I think one of the things that I learned from this talk and from asking Andrea and she explaining me is that what we have to keep in mind is that there is a financial tool that has been used so many times in the past with so many different commodities and with so many different things, and we know that somehow it works, right? So the idea of trying to do it and implement it with water tries to follow the same principle of following
hedging
a tool
risks.
exactly, right? Following the recipe that you know that at the end works, right? But the issue here, or what starts making the controversy in this part, is that the commodity that's being used is a natural resource, a non-renewable one, a vital one, that it ends up to be part of invade because we are running out of it. We don't have enough. There's scarcity already. So if you add and continue adding, so all of the things that water represent is when we start seeing all of these that makes it a more difficult topic and not something that you can just put inside of the machine, just give it, turn it, and have the answer that you know that it will work, right? So this is part of the ethical issues, sustainability, and all of the different perspectives that you get to see, right? And at least, yeah.
And just to complement what Barbara was saying, something that also happens here, water is not the only non-renewable resource trading right now. Oil is trading, and it has been trading for a lot of time. But what I think that happens is that they are not foreseeing, at least in the immediate future, that it will run out. And so what would happen if we ran out of oil, for example? And I have a contract, which is a legally binding agreement. So I have to give this oil to the person that bought the contract. So what would happen there? It's the same thing, but because oil is not that vital, it's not something that we need to survive, there's not that controversy going on right now. And because we've been trading oil for a lot of time.
So I have a question. If you said that, well, one of the Sustainable Development Goals from United Nations, I think number 6, not because I know them all of them by heart, the 18 of them, but number 6, it's about water access and clean sanitation. So can United Nations regulate something there following this principle of saying like, okay, we have this Sustainable Development Goal as a world, right? So is there something that can be give an output or, well, an input or something there that United Nations could do?
I think they can, but they cannot enforce nations to follow it. They can just recommend. So first we have that part that you cannot enforce nations to follow these regulations or even people. So I think they can create recommendations around trading water and maybe just leave it as financially settled or just put like a limit of how much a person or an industry can trade. I think that could happen. I think the UN could actually buy water futures and help people with this price differential. But I think that right now the people that are most worried about this is the UN. I found quotes saying that our basic human right was under threat and we have to see what's going on, and why are these evil finance people just trying to make money started trading water. So I think something good would come out of it or something bad, but then we will have to see how this develops in the future.
Or also, I forgot something. Let's continue.
Okay, if you remember, then let me know.
I lost it. I completely lost it. I'm sorry. There are some questions here in the chat.
That's what I'm
Or
reading.
some comments as well.
How can we ensure, Isaac is asking, how can we ensure that everyone's right to water under this system water is traded if we are only selling water resources to people that can afford it? Okay, this one's a tough question. I think as any financial tool, this one has to do with access and education. So if people don't know that they can buy water, they will not buy it. And if big finance players are actually putting their money on water, prices will go up because of the law of supply and demand. So as I was saying with Barbara's question, I think that maybe this will have to be more regulated than other financial instruments and just put limits on the amount of water that people can trade. At the end, as I mentioned before, they are not delivering actual water. So maybe that's a plus sign on this part. I feel this commodity, yeah, it's very different than others. If we don't drink water, we die, exactly.
I think also what we have to keep in mind is that for the moment and all of this news and everything was just from water from California, right? It's not that all the water from all the planets gonna go and run through this model, okay? This is just something that started there, and Andrea began her presentation explaining why California, right? So why it was decided to take well, to start trading this way, but with this a specific part, not everywhere. So that's also important. So not everything is completely threatened. At the end, it is because everything's intertwined. But for now, it's just what's happening there in California.
Yeah, and just Isaac is saying that will that be a global trend? So if we will see what's going on here with other parts of the world going here to trade water, I don't know if this will happen. We will have to see if regulations are different in different states of the US and in different countries, and if they will allow for this to happen. I think here they decided to go with California because it's just a crazy rich market, and they have a lot of problems there, and they are actually affected by droughts and wildfires. So if there was a way that you can help people to hedge risks, then this was the way that they found it. And if we find something else, then maybe this can change. But again, this is something really, really new. It's been trading for 3 months, and there has not been a lot of movement here. So the market received it, with some doubts. We don't see the amount of volume that we see with oil or with US dollars. So I think that it's important for we to know that they have this resource in California that everyone can buy. If I want to buy it, I could buy water in California, then use my money to buy something else, but I could do it. So at the end, this is a strategy to hedge risks, to manage our risks, and to avoid being, prey of the law of supply and demand. Yes, the American housing market crisis started in the US. It actually was thanks to derivatives, which is the big, it's like the family where futures start. But what happened there was that people were betting against these contracts, and they were making insurances for contracts, but there were several insurances for one contract. So that's why regulation is important, and I think it is somehow regulated with water. Short sales, yeah, they were short, but that I mean, the American the 2008 financial crisis, we could give a whole talk about it and never end, but it was also a derivatives crisis.
There is a raised hand, Alberto.
Yeah, I have a question regarding, you said that there's this NASDAQ California Water Index that provides information, you said every Wednesday. My question is about the information we can find there. Like, is there information about each contract, or what is published?
Okay, I'll show you because I have some information here. But basically, you have information about the trades, you have information about the price, you have information about the size of the contract, and you have information about, just give me a second, I'm looking for it. And you have information about the trades, basically. So if you want to trade, here it's just what's going on with the index. We can, of course, but you can actually have the real market data right now. So you could see, like, if water is trading for, I don't know, $500 per acre foot in real time.
Okay.
Just give me a second. I'll give you the link.
Yeah, thank you.
And I saw a question. if water is a human right and not a private resource, why do we pay for it? I think this one has to do with even though human rights are established, they're just recommendations, and the resources of a country are from the country, so they can decide what to do with those resources. So that's why we pay for water. I think that, and then Bere is asking if I think that this will become global. I don't know. I think this experiment, first we will have to see how they receive this experiment. And if it's a good one, then it will probably be a global practice. What I do think is that there's fear of scarcity. People are afraid of what will happen if we run out of water. So maybe they will start doing things differently. Instead of just being financially settled, then just giving water to people that can buy it. And then I think we will be in deep trouble, because now our human right will be actually under threat, because only people with enough money will be able to buy it. And maybe we will be in a Mad Max situation where there are wars over water. I don't know if you've seen the movie, but that's what happens.
But that means, for example, you mentioned in the case of Mexico that since water it's something that it's not private, you said it that way. So certain schemes and models will have to change in order to adopt this practice or something like that.
I think we will have to check as I said before, every state. In the case of the US, because they have different laws from state to state, and every nation's laws regarding water, and then see if it could be a reform, or they could do something to start trading water. At the end, I think that if it's a good idea and if it solves more problems that it causes, this will replicate around the world. And if it's more trouble, then they will just leave it like that and maybe disappear this future.
And I have another question, last one, I promise. So do you think this, because this heading of trading came out on December, right? And there was another news that had to do with the farmers in Chihuahua, that they were getting water from, that we get water from the Colorado River, and this year we're supposed to give water back to the United States, and this treaty, basically we did not respect it much, and they were claiming for water this time. So do you think that that was a precedent of start thinking on trade water this way, or those were separated events?
I think they're separated events just because we don't have a derivatives culture here in Mexico.
No, but
we
not
don't
Mexico, in the States.
Okay, in the States. I don't know, maybe
Because
they
at
will
the end,
start.
the problem was that we were not giving water back to them, right? We're supposed to be giving certain amounts of water, certain cubic liters of water back to them. At the end, the Colorado rivers end up desembocando in Chihuahua, okay, la presa La Boquilla. So
Okay, so like making trades between countries, like trading these futures between countries, so they don't have this.
Not between
problem.
countries. The thing, one of the big problems regarding water or water access is that you have a river, for example, right, that can go through different countries, right, and at the end it will end or begin in different places. Okay, so how can you regulate the amount of water that each country will be taking, or how many cubic liters of water each of them can make use of, or how can you just think as of the Nile River, for example. So this Nile River is a very long river that goes across different countries, right? So how can you regulate that amount of water or the volume that each country is allowed to take or things like that? And this is kind of something similar what happened here in Mexico, that at the end, this Colorado River ends up reaching here in Chihuahua, and by a treaty that was signed many years ago, we are committed to give back the United States certain amount of cubic liters of water. But as I was mentioning, this treaty was not being respected, and we didn't do anything about this. But this year, at this point, at this time, well, last year, around September or something like that, they started to claim this water back. And there was so many, all the topic with the farmers in the north of the country and things like that. So that was the heading about that. So since this was before these, I'm sorry for the noise. So since this was before this water began trading, do you think that this might be as a precedent or not? Or not necessarily? Or was something that was already thought before and it just was coincidence, or it was just...
I think it was just a coincidence because once you make an index for people to consult, I mean, in finance, nothing is free. So if they were just publishing this index for people to consult and see the price of water, they were probably thinking of then making a financial instrument to be traded. So I think first they published the index, they saw how it was received, if people were actually paying attention to it, and then 2 years later they launched the future.
Okay, so it's not something that happened in September and in December they said like 3 months we set everything up. No, doesn't work.
I actually think that it was not as it was not an easy task. They had to convince a lot of people to make this happen, especially people in California, which is they are the main users of this, or at least that's what's expected to be. So I think it was difficult. They had to go through authorities. They had to figure out a way to market this, to sell it, and to administrate it. So I don't think this like it was not an easy task. So I think it took a lot of time to actually be, it was published in December, but I think it was years of work behind it.
Okay, well, thank you very much. See, every time that I speak to her, my mind gets cleared.
Yeah, I don't think the price of water will go down. I think it will go up. But if people are doing their job correctly and they're hedging correctly, we shouldn't have noise, with speculation there. I think it will happen, but I hope that this is actually more beneficial for people. Okay, I'm sending you some info on the Nasdaq Veles California Index. You can consult it there. CME Group is the one that's actually sponsoring the index and the futures. It's where it's trading, so it has a little course over there. You can take a quiz, and there's some information there. It's just 2 questions. It's really basic information, but if you have any doubt, here's my contact information. I work at Mave, which is a Mexican appliances company. And
I forgot to mention that at the beginning, right?
that's my
very bad person.
work mail. That's okay. And that's my contact info in case you have any doubt or you want more information about futures or derivatives in general. I think I can be able to help you, or at least give you some papers that you can consult, because I'm not an expert in this, but it's a really interesting subject, and it's really crazy how you can take a natural resource and make lots of money out of it. I don't know if anyone has any more questions.
Well, I don't think there are more. We lost you. It's fine. Okay. So thank you very much, Andrea. Thank you very much for sharing your time with us, for explaining us what's happening with this news that we just saw and we went crazy. At least I did. But I hope that you learned something and to keep an eye on these topics, right? These are very interesting. And definitely, as she was mentioning, we have to see how things behave and then to see what can we do regarding it. Okay, so just to finish up, I'm gonna stop sharing your screen if I can. Thank you. And we prepared this certificate of participation to you. It's awarded to you for accepting joining our STEM week. This is the 3rd edition. I'm very happy about being the 3rd one. And well, thank you very much. And once again, thanks for coming here. And the rest of you, we have another talk later today at 2. So stay tuned. We're gonna be transmitted via Facebook Live in the official profile from the university. And also here via Zoom, use the same Zoom link. Okay, there is no need to be using anything else. Once it is signed, Andrea, we're gonna we're gonna send it to you.